Who is the next potential big name prospect to get the call that could send your fantasy baseball team to the championship? We're talking prospects and much more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Arnay, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Arnay. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, and most importantly to Matt and I, and super important to you this time of year, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience through text message alerts right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And as you know it's playoff time, and you need that little extra bit to get you over the top. You get 2 weeks free on Subtext, so make sure you check out that link in bio, or if not, it's available on any of our social media platforms. And guys, now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. And Matt, playoff time, very exciting time of year. A lot of potential big name prospects that could get the call, but I think we're going to start off with two guys that are already here in the bigs. One kind of has already graduated from prospect area, one hasn't. Why don't you take your pick, brother?
All right, we're going to start with Jordan Walker. Somebody I liked a lot going into last year that kind of flopped. Somebody I liked going into this year that still flopped, but I think that, being that he's 21 years old, going on 22, he needed a little bit more time, and they brought him up a little too soon. And, the talent is there. He's just incredible. Jordan Walker, in the minors has truly been a revelation. Let's put it that way. And this year has been pretty darn good. Let's put it that way. 342 at bats, 37 runs, 23 doubles, 3 triples, 9 bombs, 37 ribs, 4 stolen bases, 31 walks, 73 strikeouts, a 263 batting average, a 326 OBP, slug of 427, and an OPS of 753. Now, that's all nice and dandy. That's not even really what I think his true upside is. If you go back to 2022, which got me all hot and bothered for him, the 2022 season, he had 461 at bats. He had literally 100 runs in that time frame, 31 doubles, 3 triples, 19 bombs, 68 ribs, 22 stolen bases, batted 306 on the year. That's really the Jordan Walker of ceiling play that this guy could be. Now, the one thing I will say about Jordan Walker is, he hasn't been able to live up the hype. You haven't seen the discipline. He's been hitting a lot of ground balls, and that's really been his biggest struggle since coming to the bigs. He can't get that ball to launch in the right angle for the life of him. I think I could probably do a better job than he was doing over the last 2 years. But since getting recalled this year, it's looked a lot better. This last week through 13 at-bats, he had, 4 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, a stolen base, batting 462 on the week. Really nice numbers for a first real, opportunity into the bigs. I think second time technically, but that was out of necessity. This time was, hey, we're getting him up here. We're going to see what he really got. So I think Jordan Walker, this moving forward, if he can keep this up or even live 75% to what I believe he could be this year, he could be a difference maker going down the stretch and could be that difference maker that helps the difference between finishing, third or second and a championship. So Jordan Walker could probably be the most impactful player on this whole list.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we all really liked Jordan Walker a lot, especially going into last year. And he actually had a pretty decent year in the bigs last year, Jordan Walker did. 2023, Jordan Walker played 117 games for the St. Louis Cardinals, who he still currently plays for. Had 420 at-bats, 51 runs, 19 doubles, 2 triples, 16 homers, 51 RBIs, with 7 steals. Walk to strikeout ratio left a little bit to be desired, but he hit 276 So it left us good reason to be excited coming into this year. Had ups and downs, injuries, literally ups and downs in the minors, being sent up and down a couple of times. I like him. And the main reason I wanted to get him on this show was because September 1st, he went 5 for 5 with 4 runs, a home run, 3 RBIs, and a steal in that game. As we're recording today on September 2nd, he did go 0 for 4, so couldn't really carry it into the next game. But you know what? Jordan Walker was as top prospect going into last year, was neck and neck with Ellie De La Cruz and, Gunnar Henderson, guys like that, as far as a couple years back. So I really think Jordan Walker at 26% owned outfield eligibility on Yahoo is somebody that can contribute over the next couple of weeks in your deeper leagues, your 5 outfield league, stuff like that. And you know what? If you're in even a shallower league where it's very competitive, deeper benches, Jordan Walker, as Matt mentioned, is somebody that can have a big impact, over these next couple of weeks if he can really keep that hot back going. Same thing with this next guy who is, just about to graduate off of the prospect list. It's Brooks Lee of the Minnesota Twins. Has just come back off of the IL, has played a couple of games. A couple of hits across those couple of games. A guy that might take a little bit to get it going. But once again, if you're in those deeper leagues, Brooks Lee's only 8% owned. Second, third, shortstop eligibility, Swiss Army knife. I really like what Brooks Lee brings to the table. Is kind of like the jack of all trades. He's not going to excel crazy in one category, but has pop, has speed, hitting 7th and 8th, it looks like, in his first couple of games. So it looks like he'll have more RBI than run opportunity. Could hit for a plus batting average. I'm thinking another guy that might be more of a deeper league play at 8% owned. Give Brooks Lee a chance. There's a reason he's one of the top prospects in all of baseball. I think he left off on the top prospect list, top 20 somewhere. I don't know. I'll pull it up as 16th on the top MLB's top 100 prospect list.
Yeah, I mean, I like Brooks Lee, truthfully. Like, we talked about him maybe last week, I think. He's just a guy we're going to keep talking about just based off of, somebody that kind of came up and had an impact right away, was able to kind of slide in and be a replacement for Royce Lewis, even though that was very short-lived as well before he got hurt. Royce Lewis, I think, is going to be the next Alberto Mondesi, in all honesty. So hopefully Lee can get away from him. But Brooks Lee, I think, is somebody that if he does return and is able to play, he's going to be an impactful player moving forward. So I'd totally add him. Now, this next guy here, Marcelo Mayer of the Boston Red Sox prospect, one of their top prospects, I believe. I think he's a top 10, if I'm not mistaken. Top 5. Yeah, with all the guys graduating, there's a chance he gets a cup of coffee. You look at, you start looking at his prospect breakdown on Fangraphs, and he's a 55 out of 60 in raw power, 45 out of 55 in game power, hit tool of 30 out of 40, speed 40 of 40. Like, these are things you like to see. You also look at the minor league stats to see if it backs it up, right? And this year, 335 at bats. 300 at bats. I apologize. 60 runs, 28 doubles, 8 home runs, 38 ribs, 13 stolen bases, 30 walks to 66 strikeouts, 307 batting average, 370 OBP, 480 slug, 850 OPS. All those things point to great things. He's in Double-A. So I there's a chance he gets called up. I don't really foresee it, but he's somebody that, if he does, could be a difference maker as well. Boston has struggled of late a little bit. Devers hasn't really been performing, but, Mayer could be a spark that can really spark this lineup and get them going. I like him as a whole. I think there's more than what we're seeing here. The double numbers can easily turn into home run numbers. Since he has the 55 out of 60 power grade, I think he'll be good for about 22 to 25 home runs in a full season and be able to get you, I think, about 30 stolen bases. He has, all the makings to be a good player in the MLB. It's a matter of translation. So if he gets a call up, he might be worth the stash. So I definitely keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, I like Mayer a lot. Honestly, he needed to have the year that he's having in the minors after the step back last year. And as you mentioned, really excelling in Double-A. He's actually not really known for his speed. He has 13 bags on the season. I like that. Matt, as mentioned, only 8 bombs on the year. He's 6'3", 188 pounds. I really think this guy can fill out. He could be a guy like that, 6'3", 195, pure muscle that could be hitting, like I said, the 25 bombs, maybe in a good year chip in, close to 10 steals with a solid batting average. Boston has a lot of mouths to feed at the moment. I agree with you. I'm not sure if we're going to see him this year. Just a name that you really need to know. At the top 5 prospects, Jackson Holliday's already up. Caminero's up. Dylan Cruz is up. Walter Jenkins was just drafted, so he doesn't have a chance. So it kind of really leaves Marcelo Mayer as pretty much the number 1 prospect in all of baseball at the moment, according to MLB.com. So you definitely need to know the name. But we have 2 more top prospects, and then we have a bunch of injured players returning soon that can give your team a boost heading into the fantasy baseball playoffs. So stick around because those names are coming up next.
Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace on Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down as they get closer to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in-one prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Last-minute deals save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you're into. Flash deals save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of your game and events. Zone deals save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seat. All-in-one pricing. Toggling through this feature shows up to upfront total with no surprise fees at checkout. Views from your seat, which means you actually get a panoramic view, see if you're sitting behind a pole or not. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time, the tickets coverage is absolutely amazing. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports and ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call notifications, injury actions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins, and new members get a free 2 weeks. Check us out. The link is in the description below. Don't want to miss out on these great prospects being called up that we're talking about on the show. And this next guy, normally I'd hand it off, but I actually am excited to talk about. So we're just rolling and grooving here with me. And sorry, Dom.
By all means, sir.
All right, it's Samuel Basalo of the Baltimore Orioles. Yet again, another ridiculous prospect, under their belt. And I love this kid. I'm going to be straight. Like, in one of my dynasty leagues, this is my guy. I'm really excited to see when he gets the call. Now, there's some obstacles, but there's also some things that I could see coming ahead. Wow, my computer sucks. That could possibly change some things for him. So he is playing a little bit of first base. He's right now, registered as a catcher, which could be a cheat code for you in some leagues for next year, because I don't know if he'll get the call this year, but there's a possibility. But ultimately, the more first base he plays, the more of an opportunity, because obviously Rutschman is not getting supplanted as the catcher there. So Basalo will probably have to step in at first, which there is an opening. I don't think Mountcastle has really had the season that he had in the first half.
And he's hurt too. He's on the IL.
So there's opportunities. Just a matter of, if they want to play with options or just get this kid up. He is only 19 years old. But the thing is, this season, he's already in AAA at 19, I might add. And he's been incredible this year. 421 at bats, 60 runs, 22 doubles, 17 bombs, 58 ribs, 9 stolen bases, 42 walks to 95 strikeouts, batting 283 on the year, an OBP of 348, a slug of 456, and an OPS of 804. Kid is great in my opinion. Like, I really just think that he could be so impactful if he actually is called up, and obviously translates. There's more than just, being called up to, you know, to be an impact. But like the dude has 55 of 60 power grade. Game power is, I'm sorry, it was still not loaded. 60 of 70 in game power of raw power. Game power is 35 of 70. Speed is nothing. Hit tool is pretty decent of 30 of 40. Everything about Basalo screams he could be a big boy and a big bat coming to the day he gets called, essentially. Whether it's this fall or next year, just keep an eye on him. Don't stash him, but put him on that watch list and set up an alert anywhere you can to make sure you get that notification if he does get that call.
So, Matt, I'm totally with you on Basalo, of the Baltimore Orioles, has done nothing but hit throughout his minor league career. And here's the interesting thing. We've talked about Adley of late, and Adley's just still been on the struggle bus and hasn't gotten off over the last 2 weeks for Adley. 6 for 38, which is good for a 158 batting average. 2 runs, no homers, 1 RBI, and no steals. So once again, with Baltimore being in striking distance of a championship, do you bring up a guy like Basalo and get him a little bit ready for a playoff run? I will say this though. Let's preface it with this. So Basalo has got moved up to AAA, as Matt mentioned. His first 5 games struggling a little bit, but has homered, in one of those games. Unfortunately, 1 walk to 10 strikeouts over that time. But I could see it, right? If he gets hot, let's say next couple of 2, 3, 4 games gets hot, Adley still doesn't happen. There's a world where this kid gets called up and he's on our, rosters where he might even play first base, as Matt mentioned, because he's been getting reps there in the minors. So I see a world where Basalo can get called up and he's useful to us in our fantasy baseball championship runs. Go ahead, Matt. Of course, hop back in.
No, you had a great take. I actually agree with it. Let's put it this way. The perspective is that the upside could be the Juan Soto effect. Same
Exactly.
age, same kind of characteristic. Honestly, the only thing is the difference between Soto and him and the prospect level was just batting average because of plate discipline. But the upside is real. I wouldn't say he's a full Juan Soto, but the impact could be going into the championship.
Yeah, a 1,000% exactly what I was saying. So just once again, and then again, Samuel Basalo of the Baltimore Orioles, a name that you want to watch out for over the next couple of weeks, and definitely want to remember the name heading into next year. Let's move on to our last prospect. Let's talk some Tink Hens. I think we talked Tink a couple of weeks ago, but at this point in time, there's not too many big names left to cover. So we're going to talk about Tink Hens again, and maybe you missed that one and this is the first time you're hearing about him. Tink Hens, starting pitcher prospect for the St. Louis Cardinals, has been really, really stellar this year in his 17 starts in Double-A. 2.67 ERA, 70 innings, 94 strikeouts, only 22 walks. Batters are hitting 204 against him and a 105 whip for the young Tink Hens. He's 6'1", 195, has a good frame. He's really known for his changeup, has a good fastball as well. Just been a big strikeout guy through his whole minor league career. Gets up to 99 at times with that fastball. So, also has, he throws a curveball here and there. The control is something that he's working on, which has, seen steps in the right direction this year. Could be a guy that gets a cup of coffee down here, stretch here for the Cardinals, want to see what they have, could audition him for next year. We've seen that happen a few times over the last few years with starting pitchers. I like me some Tink Hens. If he gets called up, he definitely is a name that I will roster.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything you said is great. And all my feelings are the same as last week with Tink Hens. I think he's going to be just fine. This is, we're probably going to keep pounding these names over and over again because at any point they could become relevant. And they're the only ones that probably have an expectation of getting called. So if we repeat a name and you don't feel like hearing it again, just skip through. I understand. But for all the new people, this is why we're doing it. So Tink Hens needs to be there, needs to be added if the call comes. Do not go out there and stash him. The only guy on this list.
Come on, you watch this for now.
Yeah, all 3 prospects that we named are more of a watch list kind of play. Walker's an ad. Brooks Lee's an ad right to your IL, but the other 3 are just straight up like, watch list, don't forget about type names. But coming up next, we got guys that are in the IL that could possibly come back and make an impact. And you don't want to miss out on that. And that's coming up right after.
You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. And guys, you know how valuable that is, especially if you're a fantasy football player this time of year. You definitely want to take up that deal. And all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So check out this awesome deal with FanDuel now. And guys, let's just keep things moving here. As Matt mentioned, we're kind of hammering home some of the same names because, most of them are still out there in a lot of leagues. And this time of year, there isn't really too many options out there. So we really just want to hammer home the ones that are out there. Let's talk some Clark Schmidt. Feel like he's been the #1 name on the IL segment for the past at least 2 to 3 weeks at this point. 47% owned on Yahoo. And the best news is that there's a very good chance, according to manager Aaron Boone, that Schmidt will rejoin the Yankees rotation this weekend against the Chicago Cubs. Honestly, not a great landing spot. The Cubs have been hot of late. But Schmidt is going to make his third and final start, Double-A on Monday. Before he did make his, as we're recording here, is making his final start in the minors. He's been terrific through his first 2 rehab outings. Only 2 earned runs across 6.2 innings with 11 strikeouts to only 2 walks. I think Clark Schmidt, #1 guy, like I said, as far as IL stashes right now, could be a huge difference maker. He's excelled this year, finally lived up to the hype. Schmidt, through his 11 starts, had 5 wins, 2.52 ERA, 114 whip, 60 innings, and 67 strikeouts. He has great stuff, multiple plus pitches. If Clark Schmidt's available in your league, make the room because he will be back this weekend. I might not throw him out there against the Cubs this weekend, but if he looks good, I will throw him out there the following week.
I mean, honestly, bro, great take. I mean, I don't think I need to add anything else, honestly. A great take. I'm really excited to talk about this next guy, Jordan Westberg of the Baltimore Orioles. Westberg, obviously, I called it, honestly. Again, another magical call. Not to take too many victory laps, but I did say it on our watch list episode right before the season started. On that Tuesday before first pitch was thrown, I said you might want to add Jordan Westberg. Westberg turned out to be a stud all year long. Unfortunately, went down to the injury. He might be returning soon. Let's see what happens. So he's still on deck for field work. Westberg is continuing to take one-handed swings in field grounds. Westberg was cleared for activity August 20th and has continued to do on-field work to avoid getting too rusty as he recovers from his broken hand. He remains in the cast, but is expected to return before the regular season concludes. So he's all the way down to 56%. So I think it's going to continue as other players get hurt. This is just a matter of what sports are. People get hurt. If he gets dropped, you add him and stash him if you have the availability on your IL. There's no question. Add that dude. When he comes back, he's going to be incredible and pick up right where he left off. It's not like he's on a bad team either. But if you forgot what he's done this year, through 390 at-bats, he's had 55 runs, 18 bombs, 58 ribs, 6 stolen bases, batting .269. There's a reason he was the #1 prospect at some point last season. And I promise he is going to do great things upon his return. So add Jordan Westberg now.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you on Westberg. I don't have too much to add, except he's got that second and third eligibility on Yahoo, which is super, super nice. And, like I said, Matt, you did a great job breaking him down. I'm not even going to say anything else. Let's just move on to this next guy. We talked about guys that are fragile. Let's talk some Byron Buxton. Fragile, but on the mend. And we just know because he's even done it this year a few times. When he's on the field, he is one of the better players in the game. He is expected to begin his rehab assignment as we are recording today on Monday. He's been out for the last 3 weeks with the hip issue. On the year, though, some pretty good numbers for Buxton. 90 games played, 275 batting average, 16 homers, 6 steals, 54 runs, and 49 RBIs. The Twins have been pretty good this year. So if Buxton can get his butt on the field for the last couple of weeks here, I think he's definitely worth the roster spot. Down to 62% owned on Yahoo. If he's out there, one of the better stashes that we are talking about today, in my opinion.
Yeah, buddy. I completely agree. I agree with everything you said. Honestly, we all seen when Buxton was, on and off this whole season. How impactful he is. Just a matter of how long it takes. So obviously, I don't think I'm stashing him on the IL, and I don't think I'm going to burn that IL spot. But I will add him the second he comes back. But anyway, let's go with this. Trevor Story up next. Still working his way back from obviously, in IL, but there's a possibility in a world in a way where he does come back and proves to be somewhat impactful. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best thing, dealing with that shoulder and plays in a rehab game. So his return is kind of imminent. At 13% owned, Story coming back to the Boston Red Sox, there is going to be playing opportunity and an opportunity to succeed. So if Story is even, relatively close to what he was a few years ago and is kind of like just says, okay, cool, I only got a couple weeks left. Let me just go all out to try and see, shake off that rust. There's an opportunity for him to really take off. So don't have too much of a high hopes. Don't get me twisted. I want to, preface it as this. It's a ceiling floor play, ceiling basement play. It could be a complete dud for you, but there's a world and a possibility where he could, provide you unexpected stat lines that could push you over the edge. So I'm considering adding him.
I'll tell you this with Story, right? I think the thing with Trevor Story is that he's itching. He's really wanting to get back on the field. I know he's somebody that I've been, reading interviews and, listening to him talk. And he's just dealt with so many injuries over the past few years. He just wants to play at this point. And I think if he could stay healthy and get on the diamond, we'll see a little bit of that power, see a little bit of that speed potentially if they let him run. I'm not, it was a shoulder issue, so it's not really something that is the legs. So I'm assuming that they're going to let him run a little bit in Boston for Trevor Story. Once again, that's what we're talking about. The batting average isn't going to be great. He hasn't been a batting average guy since he was in Coors. So like I said, power, speed, depends where he hits in the lineup. Could see a little bit of run, RBI potential there for Trevor Story. At 13% owned, though, you could totally do worse. I think he jumps right back into the shortstop spot as soon as he's ready to go. So Trevor Story, definitely somebody I'm looking to at least stash on my IL if I have the spot and I need the shortstop help for the end of the season push here. One last guy, let's talk a little Max Scherzer. Another dude kind of just been really a lost year for Scherzer with all of the injuries that he's dealt with. 60% owned on Yahoo. I know he's been dropped a bit. He's beginning a rehab assignment, looks like this Saturday. So looks like more of a stash for next week. I think he might only need one, maybe rehab start, depends on how that goes. Probably a deeper league play here, to be honest with you. Scherzer on the year, 3.89 ERA, 109 whip, 39 innings, 38 strikeouts, 2 wins, and 8 starts. And just hasn't really shown much of late, honestly, since June 28th. Only a handful of good starts. Don't get me wrong. One of them did come on July 25th, but that was against the White Sox. So, like I said, more probably of a deeper league play for Scherzer, even though he's 60% owned. If you're desperate, to be honest with you, just a name that we wanted to throw out there just because of the pedigree. You could at least give him a chance. There's a chance that he can go out there and be great.
Yeah. The fact that he got the rehab start on Saturday, which is good. I want to just see a little bit more from him ultimately. What are the qualities of the game? How many rehab starts are they going to look for? So if I get word that he, only needs about 2 starts, then I'm going to add him. If 3, then we're not seeing him till the end of the season. And I'm not going to stash him at all because I have to make it to the championship before I worry about that week. He's a guy, if I got locked up at the end of the week, go at the end of next week, and I got this locked up, I'm going to the ship, then I'll probably consider adding him at this point. But definitely a name to pay attention to for sure. Great call on that. But yeah, guys, Dom, if you have nothing left to say, we'll get out of here. So, guys, I know you love us so much, so I want to recommend my boy Sully. He's over at Locked On MLB. He's covering everything all season long, all playoffs, all fall ball long. So keep an eye out for him. Check out his podcast, obviously, after you watch us. And guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, tell your friends, your mother, your dad, your best friend, all your league mates. Don't be stingy with our knowledge, okay? The only way to really truly get test whether you're good or not is to share all the resources and then say, okay, cool. I'm actually better than these guys, or man, I got some work to do and I need to listen to Matt and Dom a little bit more. So share us with everybody. And please, again, like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. And with that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day.
See ya.